Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Now, as you can see on the map, the satellite map in front of you, we are looking at an island in the Bay of San Francisco. What island are we looking at? Well, there it is, Alcatraz. Now, recently, the President of the United States has made a statement that he intends to reopen Alcatraz as a prison for inmates. Well, Alcatraz, as you may or may not know, was a United States federal penitentiary under the U.S. Federal Bureau of Prisons. So here in the United States, you have state prisons, you have county jails, and then you have federal prison. Federal prison is for federal inmates. Federal prisons range from camps to low security prisons to medium security prisons, and then the most secure facility would be a United States penitentiary, and then the administrative maximum, the ADX, in Florence, Colorado. Now, is it viable? Do we really believe that Alcatraz is going to be reopened for the use as a prison? Now, as you can tell, I am starting to laugh. I know a little bit about this subject, believe it or not, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that Alcatraz, in its current form, will not be used as a federal prison. Now, what's interesting is this is the statement that is coming from the Bureau of Prisons. Let's see here. What they are saying, the Federal Bureau of Prisons will vigorously pursue all avenues to support and implement the president's agenda. Bureau Director William K. Marshall III said in an emailed statement Monday. Marshall said he ordered an immediate assessment to take place to determine the Bureau's needs and next steps. So he's kicking the can down the road a little bit here. USP Alcatraz has a rich history, he added. We look forward to restoring this powerful symbol of law, order, and justice. We will be actively working with our law enforcement and other federal partners to, now this is where it's interesting, to reinstate this very important mission. Now, he said the mission, not necessarily Alcatraz. Look, to put Alcatraz back in service, in all probability, you would have to demolish most of the main cell house that currently exists. You would have to build something, put something in its place. I'm assuming possibly turning it into a long-term confinement center. I don't want to necessarily say it will be an ADX or an administrative maximum or even a United States penitentiary. Look, difficult to say. This is a very, very expensive proposition. Very expensive. And in all likelihood would take many, many years before you would see this facility operational again. It's really nonsensical, I have to say. And in all probability, President Trump is doing this because of the name that resonates when you hear Alcatraz. Alcatraz is synonymous with high security prisons. It just is. Most people, with the exception of the uninformed urbanite, even some uninformed urbanites, know what Alcatraz is. Most will either say it's a prison or it is in a deactivated prison, and they took the tour of the old Alcatraz prison facilities. But there's a wide range of reasons why this facility would not really be effective in terms of its current structure and what exists there now. It is crumbling. It is falling apart. There's a lot of automation that exists in new facilities that you simply can't do in this facility. It just is something that is kind of really outside the realm of possibility. It would be far, far less expensive and much, much more effective to go anywhere else in the mainland United States and build a very large super prison. But to operate this facility in San Francisco, number one, to tear down what exists and then rebuild something on this island, that inherently would be very, very expensive. And there's many other reasons as well that kind of go into play in terms of why you would not reopen Alcatraz on Alcatraz Island. Just wouldn't do it. It's not that big of a facility. You think of Alcatraz and you think, again, its bark is probably worse than its bite, and it did not hold all that many inmates even when it was in peak operating capacity. And again, it was very, very expensive. But at the time when it was built and created, it was a different era. And San Francisco was a different place as well. Probably not going to work. Again, the only thing I could foresee that they would do would be to tear down the entire facility and put in a new facility. It could become a immigration confinement center. Who knows? But again, it goes back to cost effectiveness, and to run this facility on this island in San Francisco, one of the highest cost of living areas on the planet. Look, when states and the federal government builds prisons, usually they build prisons in areas of the country where there is a lower cost of living. And they do that because the economy is depressed, and a lot of times when you build a prison in these small to mid-sized towns in the continental United States with a lower cost of living, it increases it decreases the poverty level, it increases jobs, it really runs the gamut. So would you get that kind of effect on Alcatraz Island? And the short answer is no, you wouldn't. It just wouldn't happen. And then again, just the facilities are completely outdated. It is in the annals of history. It's just something that is in all probability not going to happen. Now look, if the president issues an order to make this happen, then in all probability it may happen. But I have to believe that common sense is going to prevail. Elements within the Justice Department, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, will eventually have the opportunity to have conversations and explain why this is just a really bad idea and can be done. I mean, you can build a prison 10 times the size that exists on Alcatraz that will be more effective, that will be less prone to a possible escape, and be much, much more cost effective in terms to operate than Alcatraz. And then at that point in time, in all probability, the president and or who he puts in charge of this will see clarity. And they will then realize that reopening Alcatraz is not a good idea. Could you do Alcatraz 2 in a different location and call it that and have it be just and much more effective? Absolutely. Absolutely. But to reopen this piece of history. And look, there's a reason that they have not just torn down this facility. It would be incredibly expensive to tear it down and to transport all this rubble, asbestos, that contaminates probably all these buildings. I mean, you would have to do asbestos abatement. I mean, it would just be incredible, the work that would have to go in to reopen this. And I mean, you could say, well, who cares if inmates get contaminated with that? Well, you have correctional officers that work in this facility, so you wouldn't want them to get lung cancer by breathing in asbestos. So yeah, it just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. And at some point, the light will come on, and this will go by the wayside in terms of it was nice to think about, but ultimately not gonna happen. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. How to talk about this. All for building more prisons, bigger prisons, big, beautiful prisons, just not on Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay. Have a good day, everyone.